Chapter 19. Legacy, the well that never dies. Legacy is the echo of your kindness long after you're gone. It's not about what you leave for people, but what you leave in them. As the years pass, I find myself thinking more often about the word legacy, not in the sense of what we will leave behind in possessions, but in what will continue to leave through hearts, memories, and quiet echoes of love. There was a time when I believed legacy meant a name engraved somewhere, a property secure for the next generation, or the family fortune preserved with care. But now I see legacy through a softer, more divine lens. It is not carved in marble or stored in a vault. It is breathed into work through every act of kindness, every lesson shared, every tear wiped, and every seed planted with love. I have reached a stage in life where peace has replaced ambition. I no longer count my worth by what I own but what I have given. And the greatest comfort is knowing what I leave behind is already living in the hearts of my children and grandchildren. The family tree with its deep roots. When I look at my family now, I see a living tree that began with faith and perseverance, but from the first roots planted in uncertain soil to the strong branches reaching toward the light, every generation has carried the story forward. This tree has endured storms, yet it still stands tall. Its roots run deep into the earth of love, culture, and endurance. Its branches stretch wide, sheltering laughter, tears, and dreams. I see my sons now fathers themselves, nurturing their own branches, and I see my grandchildren, bright leaves shimmering in the sunlight, full of promise. The seeds have already been planted. I have done my part. Now I trust the divine to do hers. For legacy, I have learned, is not something we control. It's something we begin and then surrender to the timeless hands of heaven. Tangible gifts, the material echo of life. I have always believed that the tangible things we leave behind should hold meaning. The home we built, the garden we tended, the jewelry passed down from my mother. These are not just possessions, they are a vessel of memory, carrying our family story through time. The home we leave behind is not just walls and windows, it is a sense of Sunday morning coffee, the creak of familiar floors, and the soft light that falls across family photographs. It is the place where birthdays were celebrated, prayers whispered, and laughter shared. My jewelry box holds more than gold and gemstones. It carries the touch of generations. Each piece tells a story of courage, love, and resilience. Someday, when my granddaughter wears it, she won't just be wearing jewelry, she will be carrying history. Even the smallest objects, a handwritten recipe, a photograph, a book with notes in the margin, these are tangible legacies. They remind that my family, that I live, I love and care. Yet, as meaningful as they are, I know these things will fade or be passed along. The true legacy cannot be measured or owned, it can only be felt. The intangible treasures, what the heart remembers. If I could gather all invisible treasures of my life and place them in my grandchildren's hands, I would. But I know they already carry them deep inside. They have seen me rise after heartbreak and smile after loss. They have watched me water the garden with patience, and they have heard me speak softly about forgiveness when life seemed unfair. Without realizing it, they were learning the invisible lessons that love heals, that patience bears fruit, and that gratitude multiplies blessing. I hope they remember that happiness is not bought, it's cultivated, that wealth is not what fills the pocket, but what fills the soul, and that compassion once given return 100-fold. The garden of memory. The garden has always been my sacred place, a reflection of the soul rhythm. Every plant, every flower, every leaf carries the imprint of care, but more than that, it holds the echoes of laughter and life itself. I still remember the day my oldest grandson, barely 6 years old, wandered into the garden with his curious little hands. The sun was soft that morning, and the air smelled of fresh jasmine. He picked a handful of flowers, not for everyone else, but for me. His eyes sparkled with pride, and he held them out, petals trembling in his tiny fingers. Nearby, my granddaughter danced from blossom to blossom, sniffing each flower like a butterfly tasting spring. Her laughter floated through the air, light and musical, blending with hum of bees and the whisper of the wind. Those were moments that no camera could ever truly capture, the echoes of their laughter, the rhythm of their footsteps, and the sound of happiness seemed to imprint themselves into every leaf, every flower, every breath of the garden. Even now, when I walk among the roses, I can still hear it, the melody of love alive in the wind. That garden, to me, is a symbol of legacy. You plant seeds, you tend them with care, and one day you see them bloom in the ways you never imagined. The gardener never knows which flower will blossom the brightest, only that love was sown everywhere. Trusting the divine gardener, there was time when I worried about the future, about whether my children would make wise choices, whether my grandchildren would use their inheritance with wisdom and integrity. But with time and faith, I learned that my role is plant and nurture, not to control the harvest. The divine has her way of tending what we begin. She knows when to water, when to prune, and when to let rest. My job is to trust. Now I no longer fear what will happen after I'm gone. The seeds have already been planted. The soil is rich with love, resilience, and faith. We know my family will continue to grow in their own rhythm. When I think of legacy, I no longer think of wills or inheritance papers. I think of divine timing. The universe never loses a single good deed, a single act of love. Everything planted in goodness eventually blooms. The echo of kindness. Legacy is not made of grand gestures. It built quietly in moments that seem ordinary but ripple through time. Every time I smile instead of criticize, every time I forgive instead of held on to anger, every time I give instead of kept, those were seeds of legacy. Kindness doesn't die. It lives on through the hearts it touches. When I see my grandchildren sharing their toys, offering help, or showing empathy to others, I know the spirit of love continues. Sometimes I watch them play in the garden and I whisper a silent prayer of gratitude. They don't know it yet, but they are already carrying the well that never fades, the ability to love without condition. Letters for the future. Among the things I leave behind are letters, handwritten, personal, meant to be opened in different seasons of their lives. One for when they are grown, one when they doubt themselves, and one when they face loss. In those letters, I tell them the truth that shapes my life, that love is stronger than fear, that failure is not the end, and gratitude is the secret of abundance. I remember them that their worth is not tied to their achievements, but to the light within them. Words, after all, can travel farther than time. Long after I'm gone, those letters will carry my voice, reminding them to keep their hearts open and their faith alive. The freedom of letting go. Legacy is not just about leaving, it's about releasing. When I was younger, I thought love meant holding tightly, guiding every step, protecting from every mistake, but love, in its mature form, is about trust. It's about letting go with grace, knowing that the divine is always watching over what we cherish. Now I can sit in my garden and feel peace. I don't need to fix or control anything. Life continues beautifully and mysteriously. My role is simple to bless it. Letting go is not a loss, it's freedom. And handing the baton to next generation is to trusting that they will run on their own race well, the wealth that never dies. If someone were to ask me today what I consider my greatest wealth, I would not speak of money, property, or accomplishment. I would speak of laughter in my home, the strength in my children's hearts, the compassion in my grandchildren's eyes. That is wealth that never dies. True wealth is not accumulated, it's cultivated. It is the ability to live with gratitude, to love deeply, to forgive easily, and to walk gently on this earth. It's the peace that comes from knowing that you have given more than you've taken. My wish for my grandchildren is simple, that they continue the circle of kindness, that they live fully, love fearlessly, and never forget the roots from which they came. Epilogue. The eternal garden. Sometimes, when the afternoon sun turns golden and the shadows stretch across the garden, I sit quietly and think about the journey of my life. I realize that every season has its purpose. The storms that shaped me, the winters that tested me, and the spring that renew me. Life is never wasted when it's lived with love. The family tree stands strong now, its roots deep, its branches alive with laughter. I can rest knowing that the divine gardener will continue to watch over it. When I'm gone, my grandchildren walk through this garden. I hope they will pause, close their eyes, and feel my love in the breeze. Perhaps they will hear a faint echo of their childhood laughter, or smell a jasmine bloom and remember how they once picked flowers together. And in that moment, they will understand that legacy is not a thing left behind, it's the love that never leaves. And life well lived is the well that never fades, and love true, generous, and eternal is the only legacy that never dies.